Tonight, breaking news from the Vatican. For the first time, we hear from cardinals who were inside the conclave. What was it? Why did they choose the first American pope? And the moment the cardinal born in Chicago had his head in his hands, knowing he was about to become pope. Also tonight here, the major failure again at an American airport. The air traffic control computers suddenly going down, losing contact with passenger planes. First tonight, Pope Leo XIV, the first pope from the United States, celebrating his first Mass here back in the Sistine Chapel, where he was just hours before. Tonight, the cardinals who were in the chapel during the conclave. What happened when Cardinal Prevost from Chicago reached the 2/3 majority, the 89 votes needed. The scene inside the chapel. Also, what he said today during his Mass, the message he's sending already. Tonight, back in the U.S. in Chicago, celebrating one of their own. Tonight here, you will hear from his brother. They played Wordle and Words with Friends before the conclave. The bells ringing at Villanova, his alma mater. Catholic school children jumping with joy, learning the Pope is not only American, but from their hometown. In that moment, the Cardinal from Chicago suddenly put his head in his hands. The other major news this Friday night, another terrifying incident at Newark Airport. Air traffic control radar going dark again. Air traffic controllers losing communications with passenger jets. What's going on? Tonight, the U.S. and China and what President Trump is now signaling about his 145% tariffs on China. Will he reduce them, and will they make a deal? The storm's hitting just as the weekend starts. The flood watch in the Northeast. Heavy rain for Washington, D.C., Philadelphia, and New York. Tonight, the Soviet-era spacecraft launched back in 1972, hurtling toward Earth. What they're now saying about where it could go. And tonight, the remarkable images right here at the Vatican as we prepare for a primetime special tonight, the American Pope.
From ABC News, this is ABC World News Tonight with David Muir, reporting tonight from the Vatican.
Good evening tonight from the Vatican. The first ever American Pope celebrating his first Mass here, returning to the Sistine Chapel, where he was just hours before for the conclave. He, of course, was among the 133 cardinals who were electing the next Pope. And tonight here, for the first time, we hear from cardinals in that chapel and why they chose him. Less than 24 hours after being introduced as the new Pope, Leo XIV back in the Sistine Chapel to celebrate Mass with the cardinals who put their faith in him. The Pope began his first homily speaking in English and what he said to the cardinals who chose him. Tonight, the Vatican releasing this image from 24 hours ago, the newly elected Pope in solitary prayer just before he was presented to the world. That powerful moment, stepping out onto the balcony, his name revealed, the first Pope from the United States. Tonight, the celebrations back in the U.S., his brothers and childhood friends who call him Rob. He is still close with his brothers, playing Wordle with one of his brothers not long before becoming the new Pope. Bells ringing at his alma mater, Villanova, and at many Catholic churches across the country. And the children, these students at Our Lady of Mount Carmel Academy in Chicago, learning of the first American Pope and that he was from their hometown. Tonight, for the first time, we hear about the moment that Cardinal born in Chicago put his head in his hands, knowing where the math was headed inside the conclave, that he was about to become Pope. Tonight, less than 24 hours after being named the first American Pope, Pope Leo XIV celebrating his first Mass. Returning to the Sistine Chapel, where he was just hours before, among the 133 cardinals who decided he was the one. As he returned to the Sistine Chapel, Pope Leo XIV blessing the cardinals who chose him, the cardinals bowing to the new Pope. Conducting the Mass in Italian, but beginning his homily in English.
I'll begin with a word in English.
Saying this to the cardinals from all over the world who placed their faith in him.
You have called me to carry that cross and to be blessed with that mission. And I know I can rely on each and every one of you to walk with me as we continue as a church, as a community of friends of Jesus, as believers, to announce the good news, to announce the gospel.
Those cardinals delivering a surprise to the world with their decision that came 24 hours, 21 minutes after those doors closed at the Sistine Chapel for the conclave. The announcement, we have a Pope.
Habemus Papam.
And then history made on the balcony over St. Peter's Square. The cardinal born Robert Francis Prevost in Chicago, choosing to be called Pope Leo XIV, waving to the faithful. The world seeing the emotion clear on his face. His first words, peace be with you all.
La pace sia con tutti voi.
Tonight, the celebrations back in his hometown of Chicago that began with the children who were watching at Our Lady of Mount Carmel Academy. Cheering when they learned the first American Pope was from their town. Outside Philadelphia, bells ringing in Pope Leo's honor at Villanova University, where he studied mathematics. Tonight, Pope Leo already spending time with the faithful. It was just hours after he appeared on that balcony. He was out in Vatican City giving blessings and visiting the palazzo where he lived until he was named Pope. And tonight here, the new images from the Vatican, the official document attesting the acceptance of Pope Leo of his election, the name right there in Latin, Leo XIV. The Pope choosing the name Leo, widely believed in honor of Pope Leo XIII, who was focused on human dignity, the rights of workers, and the poor. Walking into today's Mass, Pope Leo choosing to wear simple black shoes like his predecessor, Pope Francis, instead of the red shoes favored by Pope Benedict and others before him. And another question here, where will he live? Tonight, Italian media now reporting Pope Leo will continue to live at Santa Marta, where Pope Francis lived, at least for now, saying there is renovation work being done at the Grand Papal Apartment at the Apostolic Palace. Father John Walk and Father James Martin on the decision he'll have to make.
Do you think he stays there, or does he move into the Grand Papal Apartment?
I think he moves into the Grand Papal Apartments. I think I visited Pope Francis at Casa Santa Marta. It was very simple, and he liked that. He liked being around people, but I don't know if I would want to live in a guest house for 20 years. I think I'd like something a little more permanent. So I would forgive him completely if he moved back.
I suspect he'll be moving back, and partly it's because the truth is that having the Pope living with you, it's very awkward for the people who have to be there.
And the
all
residents.
sorts of security.
Born in 1955 and growing up on Chicago's South Side, his brothers and his classmates knew this boy had a special relationship with God. He is now 69 and considered young and could lead the Catholic Church for many years to come. Before he became Pope, he spoke of his relationship with Pope Francis and his views on the Church. It was just last August.
He has a profound commitment to justice and charity and mercy. There are dynamic, life-giving experiences that do fill us with hope, and we have to learn to share that message with others. It depends on all of us.
His work transcending borders, serving the church in the U.S., in Rome, and in Peru, where he was a missionary, a priest, and then a bishop in Chiclayo, Peru. His focus, the poor. Tonight here, the images of Pope Leo back in 2014, singing Feliz Navidad with the youth ministry there. It was just 24 hours ago, children at the local Catholic school there cheering as his name was announced. They consider him family. Tonight, our Matt Rivers is in Peru.
David, we're in the town of Chiclayo in northwest Peru, where Pope Leo spent decades working with the poor, preaching out of that cathedral there as bishop. The people of this town really see him as one of their own. They're thrilled he's now Pope. That sign there on City Hall says Papa Leon, Pope Leo, Chiclayo, blessed.
And back here in Rome tonight, the Americans we have met during our time here, including the McManus family from Long Island. Here for their daughter's wedding, they had no idea they would witness history, too. They hope Pope Leo can unite.
Do you hope he has impact back home in the United States, too?
I would hope so now. You know, I hope the United States sees this as a big plus for us, and hope for that reason, to build those bridges and to bring those people back together.
And when he said yesterday from the balcony, God loves everyone, did that land?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
It does.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And if people didn't know that before, hopefully they heard that and they know it now.
His brother Justin is studying at Villanova, where Pope Leo graduated.
You're studying at Villanova.
Yes, I am.
And suddenly you learn that the Pope went to school at Villanova.
Yeah.
And when he stood up there and talked about building bridges with the world in this moment when there's so much conflict, what did that mean to you?
You know, that just meant the world. just to have him, someone who has that such stronger connection to me as a Villanova alumni, being able to hear him say those words definitely hit my heart directly. So it's really a touching moment for me.
Their mother, optimistic after what she heard on that balcony.
Kindness is key. So I think everyone just needs to be kind to each other. It means a lot. And if they keep pressing it, it's going to happen. You got to be hopeful. You got to believe.
Hopeful for the American Pope. Yeah.
Absolutely.
The hope from so many Americans right here in Rome. And as I mentioned, for the first time, we're hearing tonight from the cardinals who were in the conclave what it was about that cardinal from Chicago who would reach that 2/3 majority and become Pope. And tonight back in the U.S., the celebrations for the boy who friends and family knew had a special connection to God growing up. Terry Moran, who is from Chicago, right here at the Vatican again tonight.
Tonight, this native son of Chicago is now the leader of the world's 1.4 billion Catholics. Known to his brothers as Rob, to his friends as Bob, Pope Leo XIV, formerly Cardinal Robert Francis Prevost, still plays Wordle and Words with Friends with his brothers. He grew up here on East 141st Street in Dolton, Illinois, just across the line from Chicago's South Side. And he attended Mass at St. Mary's of the Assumption. The youngest of 3 boys, raised in a Catholic family, the future pope seemed to be destined from a remarkably early age for a religious life. His brother John.
I think from the time he was 5 or 6 years old, he knew this was his fate. Not that he would be a pope, that he would be a priest.
As a boy, his brothers tell us, while they were playing cops and robbers, their little brother played priest, holding Mass using his mother's ironing board as an altar and Necco wafers for communion. He attended college at Villanova University in Pennsylvania, was ordained a priest in 1982, joining the Order of St. Augustine. 3 years later, he became a missionary in Peru, working in poor, remote areas for 2 decades, eventually becoming a Peruvian citizen. After holding several posts in Rome, the future pope was made a cardinal by Pope Francis just 2 years ago in 2023. This week, inside the conclave, the other American cardinals say that Prevost didn't advocate for himself in any big speech, but joined the conversations in small groups.
A lot of dialogue occurred at mealtime, coffee break, those moments when you can engage one another.
And then, on the second day of the conclave, when it was clear how the votes were going in the Sistine Chapel, he seemed anguished, says his friend Cardinal Joseph Tobin, who calls him Bob.
Then I walked back and I took a look at Bob, and because his name had been floating around, and he had his head in his hands.
When he crossed the 89-vote threshold to be elected, a wave of applause rang through the Sistine Chapel, and when he accepted election, the anguish was gone.
And then when he accepted it, it was like he was made for it.
The new pope needed to choose a name. Chicago's Cardinal Blaise Cupich telling me about that moment.
And he was asked, okay, what name do you take? And they said Leo. And again, another applause, because that was a stunner too. People were thinking, oh, Francis II, Paul or John or somebody else, but Leo. We knew we had something new here.
In Chicago, they're bursting with pride. The Chicago Sun-Times dubbing Leo the Pope.
The Pope. We loved seeing that today. Terry Moran back with us here at the Vatican. Really something, Terry, to listen to these cardinals who were inside the conclave and to hear about him putting his head in his hands, sensing the weight of the role that was soon coming.
It is an awesome responsibility, David, but the conclave acted so quickly, clearly because the cardinals believed he is ready, if anyone can be. Cardinal Tobin specifically praising Pope Leo's decisiveness, saying, quote, he listens and then he acts. It's a lot of courage, unquote. David?
It's an extraordinary story. Terry Moran tonight. Terry, thank you. And Pope Leo may be from the south side of Chicago, but his work with the church took him to Rome and to Peru for so many years. And from the balcony right here behind me, he promised to push for unity and to build bridges. So tonight, James Longman with the faithful, Americans and people from all over the world who hope Pope Leo can unite.
Pope Leo sent some important messages at his first Mass as Pope, showing the world he knows how to walk delicate divides. Soon after we heard Leo had made history, we bumped into Cardinal Bo, the Archbishop of Yangon.
Are you excited to have the first American Pope?
Yes, good, so that you can
build a bridge.
Build the bridge and fight with Trump.
fight with Trump?
Trump, or can have a conversation, dialogue with Trump.
A dialogue now in many languages.
American Pope now, my joy is that, yeah, at least for the first time we have a Pope who is fluent in English and Spanish.
But as Leo says he wants to build bridges, war continues to rage. From Israel and Gaza, Russia's invasion of Ukraine, and a dangerous confrontation between India and Pakistan breaking out during conclave. This American Pope faces a global challenge.
And David, there is a sense that the divisions in the United States are making this American Pope better able to deal with the divisions in the wider world. David?
James Longman back with us as well. James, thank you. And coming up just a short time from now, the entire team is here for an ABC News special. The American Pope, Leo XIV, the special edition of 2020, tonight at 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 Central, right here on ABC, and it's a fascinating story. In the meantime, we turn to the other major news this Friday night into another major blackout at Newark Airport. Air traffic controllers watching as their radar screens went dark for nearly 90 seconds again, losing contact with passenger planes. Here's Gio Benitez.
Tonight, another terrifying failure at Newark Airport. Air traffic control radar screens going black at Newark for about 90 seconds just before 4 a.m. this morning.
Our scopes just went black again.
Controllers warning an incoming jet that they might not be able to communicate if the radars and radios fail again.
Russia 651, we just had another brief radar outage, so just in case that happens again, for your purposes, if you can't reach me, just stay at or above 3,000 until you're passing Morristown, and then you can just clear for the approach from there.
This happened in the middle of the night when there were very few airplanes. Someday it's going to happen where there's lots of bad weather and you'll have airplanes flying blind.
It's the third radar outage at Newark in less than 2 weeks, and it's led to thousands of delays and cancellations. And David, the White House said today they hope to have a quick fix by the end of the summer, but that, of course, is months from now. And then, of course, you have this weather in the Northeast. If that outage had happened during this weather, this could have been much worse. David?
Really is extraordinary. Gio Benitez tonight. Gio, thank you. Next tonight here, President Trump signaling he is open to lowering his steep tariffs on China, suggesting now that they could be lowered from 145% to 80% on imports of Chinese goods, but only if China, he says, makes concessions first. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent arriving in Geneva, Switzerland for the first face-to-face trade talks with China. But the president tonight saying he won't be disappointed if he doesn't come back with a deal. We do have a passing to note tonight. Former Supreme Court Justice David Souter is being remembered, appointed by former President George H.W. Bush, dying at his New Hampshire home on Thursday. His 19 years on the high court, surprising conservative Republicans at times, as he sided with liberal justices on issues including Roe versus Wade and the Bush versus Gore 2000 presidential election fight. Justice David Souter was 89. When we come back here tonight, we're tracking storms hitting just as the weekend starts. The flood watch in the Northeast, heavy rain for Washington, D.C., Philadelphia, and New York. We're tracking it. And tonight, the Soviet-era spacecraft launched back in 1972. Tonight, it's hurtling toward Earth and what they're now saying about where it could go. Tonight, we're tracking heavy rain across the Northeast. More than 15 million Americans from Hartford, Connecticut up to Maine on alert for possible flooding. Strong thunderstorms with more than a half-foot of rain and possible flooding for the Southeast right into early next week. When we come back on this Friday night, that Soviet-era spacecraft launched in 1972, tonight hurtling toward Earth. So where do they think it's headed? To the index of other news, and a Soviet-era spacecraft that was supposed to explore Venus is now expected to crash into Earth sometime tonight or tomorrow. The Cosmos 482, it's called, looks similar to this before it was launched in March of 1972. But it malfunctioned and never left Earth's orbit. Scientists now say the chances of Cosmos striking anyone on land remain very low. That's good news, saying a 70% chance it will land in water if it doesn't burn up first. When we come back here tonight, the moving images from New York City to the Vatican here. What's been done for the first American Pope? Before we go tonight, from New York City to here in Rome, celebrating the first American Pope, the Empire State Building in gold and white. Two visitors from Missouri posing in front of St. Peter's Basilica. We can't get enough of those school children in the Pope's hometown of Chicago reacting to the news. And in Peru, where Pope Leo spent more than 20 years, a children's choir displaying photos of Leo XIV. They consider him family. Thank you for watching on this historic week. I'm David Muir. I'll see you at 9 p.m. Eastern tonight for our ABC News special, The First American Pope. Good night.
Thank you for making World News Tonight with David Muir, America's most watched newscast.